Hi guys, Deanna from Hot for History here, and I'm really excited tonight to discuss the biggest scandals of the royal family this past year in 2022, the greatest accomplishments of the royal family or the milestones of the royal family in 2022, as well as what we can expect to look forward to with the royal family in 2022. So as I meant in 2023. As I mentioned, I am Deanna Falchuk from Hot for History. Please, I'm very happy that you're here. Share, subscribe, because tonight I'm going to just run through things with some slides where we're going to discuss, like I said, the biggest scandals, the greatest accomplishments, as well as what to expect looking forward with the royal family. I'm going to put my glasses on if you don't mind. Welcome, everybody. So Queen Elizabeth celebrated her Platinum Jubilee in June, which marks 70 years for her on the throne. And, she had that 4-day public holiday, which was incredible. In September, the Queen's reign came to a close when she ended up passing away on September 8th at the age of 96. And then Charles ascended the throne and became king. And then now we have a whole new monarchy. This is a whole new world and it's no wonder that things are sort of, shaking up and looking different for all of us. And this also means, and we're going to talk about this later, that Camilla is to become queen as well. Well, she is queen, but she will be officially crowned queen. And in addition to these historic events, there also were many controversies. So we're going to discuss the controversies first. Thank you guys for hopping on, but we're going to discuss the controversies first, heading into just sort of the highlights of the year, and then we'll discuss what to look forward to, and then we'll just kind of hang around and shoot the what together. So let's talk about the scandals first in 2022. And we're going to kick this off with talking about, the notorious Prince Andrew. So he reached a settlement regarding his abuse allegations at the beginning of 2022. That's what we started with. Now, he never, ever admitted to wrongdoing. And so that was just kind of swept under the rug. But it's alleged that he paid $12 million in order to settle. Now, I am researching something, and I would love any kind of input or resources that you have. But I read something recently by a guy, and I think his name is Christopher Anderson, and he actually said that he thinks, he was very confident about it because he wrote it in a book, that actually, in order for Queen Camilla to get her title as queen, there is actually a quid pro quo between Prince Andrew, King Charles, and the Queen. So I'm just going to tease you on that because I don't really know everything about that, but that was something I'm going to research. And if any of you know anything about it, I would love to hear it. So that was in the beginning of the year. So in the same month, hold on a second, switch slides. In the same month, this is something, we hear a lot of drama and a lot of criticism about Harry and Meghan, and I know that much of that is warranted, but not all of it is warranted because some of it's a distraction from the fact that actually the royal family has other stuff going on that's not necessarily all that great, right? So in the same month, British police launched an investigation into King Charles's charity, which was called the Prince's Foundation. So in September of 21, the Sunday Times, his name was Gabriel Pobrand, and a person named Valentine Lowe reported that one of Charles's closest aides, and by the way, this is from The Insider, closest aides and former valet Michael Fawcett, he temporarily stepped down from his position as the chief executive at the Prince's Foundation after the papers published these allegations. And the allegations were that Fawcett helped Saudi national Mahfouz Murray Mubarak bin Mahfouz secure an honorary CBE, which is basically the highest ranking order of British Empire award for non-citizens. and that he paid 1.5 million, or around 2 million US dollars, in order to get that position. And then that money was used actually for renovations of Clarence House. So, then they tried to sort of soften this by basically saying that the now king really was not that involved in the day-to-day operations, so he had no knowledge of this. And then the London Metropolitan Police also launched an investigation. And there's like actually this they went under this offense of under the Honors of the Prevention of Abuses Act in 1925, which was related to the prince's foundation, according to a statement. Now, remember, this is now our king. So this happened at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, and he ended up being king. So they said that it's still an ongoing investigation. But I do know, when you are the king, as far as I know, again, I'm just I'm a novice, but I'm somebody who's interested. But apparently, the royals, I don't think they can be arrested or anything. Allegedly, he was going to fight this in court. However, let me pull your comment up, Judith. Hold on a second. Allegedly, he was going to fight this in court. However, since the late queen was so ill, and given it was her platinum jubilee year, it may be that Andrew settled things. Okay, this was regarding Andrew. Yeah, that's quite possible too. So anyhow, this is what I'm calling number 2. So there's that. So we're talking about the scandals now, guys. For those of you who are popping on a few minutes late, we're starting with the scandals. We're going to talk about the year and the accomplishments, and then we will head on to what to look forward to. So Prince William and Kate Middleton faced criticism and protests over the monarchy, their colonial past, during their royal tour of the Caribbean. Now, see this picture? I mean, personally, I think it's a beautiful picture, but also you can look at it another way. It's very, it's really of old tradition with the royal family, right? Stand in the car, wave. Obviously, they both look perfect. However, Charles is saying he wants to slim it down and make things look differently. But this was met with so much criticism because they were considered tone deaf when they went, because they didn't address the monarchy's colonial past, and they sort of are coming in with the same routine. So I think what we're going to discover a lot in these tours that we're going to see with the royal family moving forward is that they're going to do it a little bit differently. They're going to try to question, why have we always done things this way? So they canceled the first stop of their tour in Belize after locals organized protests about the couple's arrival and carried signs referencing the colonialism by the monarchy. And then in Jamaica, they encountered more protests that argued that the UK should pay reparations for its role in the slave trade. And what I did do a video on this recently, and the major slave trade that they had way back in the day, like way back, like 1700s moving forward, obviously, was the Caribbean. Like, it was massive, it was global. And so, people do have a point. So, and then William expressed profound sorrow over the history of slavery at a dinner held by Jamaican Governor General, but he garnered criticism by the protesters for not taking responsibility for their role in it. And then also there was a picture, I should have put that one in here, but where they're actually shaking hands of young school-age kids through a fence, which clearly did not look great. So that is what I'm considering number 3. Number 4, we just talked about the Princess Foundation. And now in June, Charles reportedly accepted $3 million in cash from the former Prime Minister of Qatar, leading to an inquiry by a UK charity regulator. So now we have 2 investigations regarding 2 of then Prince Charles's charities. So the Times of London reported that Charles accepted 3 million euros, which is over $3 million for those of you who don't know. And this was in cash from actually a politician who has connections to the Bin Laden family. So according to the gift guidelines and procedures outlined by the royal family's official website, they are allowed to accept a check as a patron on behalf of a charity with which they are associated, often for publicity purposes, but they can't accept gifts of money or money equivalent. So apparently, of course, you see in the news, again, I don't know all of it, but they're showing the pictures of like the money basically coming to him in cash in like suitcases, which looks extremely sketchy, obviously. So they say that it's a very gray area. Yes, he can accept funds for the charity. Can he accept cash from somebody and is it advisable to collect cash from somebody who has a connection to maybe some terrorist, things? So that is just, crazy, because that's, could be a potentially major scandal. And that did happen, last year. So number 5, Charles guest edited this issue in Britain's only Black newspaper called The Voice in September, which sparked backlash. So those of us in America may not know that much about this, but this is mainly, mainly for people of color. It's a magazine. And the issue was titled Shared Vision for Change. So Charles, historically, even through the 40 years that, they can kind of trace this back, he has been wanting to sort of bring the different races together, they're saying. And so he, in the 40th issue, featured interviews with actor Idris Elba and Doreen Lawrence, who was a campaigner whose son, Stephen Lawrence, was killed in an unprovoked racist attack in London in 1993. Now, for those of us in America, we may not be very on top of that, but that was a major, major event regarding sort of the race relations in the UK. So in a statement released at the time, Charles said, over the last 4 decades, with all of the enormous changes they have witnessed, Britain's only surviving Black newspaper has become an institution and a crucial part of the fabric of our society. That's why I was so touched to be invited to edit this edition. So the executive editor, Paulette Simpson, she acknowledges that Charles' involvement in the issue, saying that during an appearance on ITV's Good Morning Britain, that in order to facilitate change, we all need voices around the table. However, the reviews were very mixed. Like, people were saying, hey, in order to really start to have change, we need more than just the monarch's voice on this. Like, let's all have actually a conversation, right? So the Voice agreed to collaborate with Charles after looking at the work he had done on race equality over 40 years and the parallels with our campaigning over the same. So that was their statement, but that was controversial. So before becoming king, there were several controversies regarding him just in this past year. This one I need you guys to really give me some input on. Prince Harry wasn't allowed to salute or wear his military uniform at the Queen's funeral procession in September, despite his 10 years of military service, according to reports. I'm just going to read some of this, and then I have questions for you guys, and hopefully you'll give me some wisdom on this. Harry served in the British Army for 10 years. He had 2 tours of Afghanistan. And then when he moved, he forfeited his military titles in 2020 after he and Meghan Markle announced they were stepping back from their roles as working royals. And then Harry wasn't able to salute alongside his family because his military custom reserved for those in uniform. Prince Andrew, who stepped down from his royal duties, was also stripped of his military titles in 2019 due to his, to what we know. Sometimes I can't say things because of the algorithm stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. So following the funeral procession, people on Twitter really had a problem with Harry not being able to pay tribute in his uniform. So they had him basically in his morning suit, but not in his, military attire. And then later they decided, okay, we'll put him back in his military attire, in which he looked amazing. And so my question, which I would like, hopefully you guys to give me some, wisdom on, was, okay, I understand he left the royal family and his royal duties, but why wouldn't he have been able to wear his military attire unless, again, this is going to seem so probably, basic, but is it that he was still considered active as a royal member and that's why he couldn't wear it? Or was he stripped of that because they were somehow giving a correlation between his leaving the royal family to go to, California, with him leaving the military? Because in my mind, I'm thinking if he did 10 years, if he did 2 tours, and his only, thing that he did that was awful was like leaving the royal family to move to, to the United States. Why shouldn't he have his uniform on? I understand why Andrew wouldn't. So anyhow, okay, hold on. Just got to do something right here. Yes. I'm not really watching the comments. So anyhow, try to answer that for me. If there's also one more big honor that is strictly the gift of the sovereign, but I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So let's move on to number 7. Okay. Obviously, we've discussed this ad infinitum. I feel like we have a lot more to say. There's been sort of a lull during the Christmas season after this, but this was a huge scandal, the Harry and Meghan Netflix series, especially when Meghan, the things that they were saying, gaslighting, paying the media to swap stories, William shouting at Harry, just on and on and on. So this was very dramatic. Obviously, we know that. So that's number 7. And number 8, this was in November. Royal aide Lady Susan Hussey resigned after allegations she made racist comments to charity founder Ngozi Fulani. Hussey later apologized in a meeting at Buckingham Palace. So just to sort of paraphrase or to give you the short version of what happened, they were at an event at Buckingham Palace, and Lady Susan Hussey was relentless in talking to Miss Fulani, and saying things like, "Hey, where are you from?" And she was like, "I'm British." Like, that's where I'm from. She's like, "Yeah, where are you from?" And she's like, "I'm from like London or wherever." She was like, "No, honey, where are you from?" It's like, she's like, "Well, you mean like what is my heritage?" So apparently this was really bad. And then they ended up setting up an apology. She did apologize. The timing for this was really around the same exact time that Meghan and Harry were talking about this unconscious bias in the royal family. And so it was very interesting, unfortunate that it came up. This woman was a lady in waiting with Queen Elizabeth, very close to Queen Elizabeth, the godmother of Prince William. So quite the event. So this was a big scandal. Okay, so best royal moments of 2022. This was the best. Hang on. Unless you guys can think of any other scandals that I'm missing, because that I'm sure there are more. Very sure that there are more. Hang on a second. Memorable moments. Okay, so we have, I love this picture. This is Queen Elizabeth became the first British monarch to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee, which was just incredible that she's had that long reign in, in her position. And then this is so cute. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis made their carriage debut, Trooping of the Color in June. So adorable. So enjoyed watching them this year. And then now this, I'd love to talk, to have any kind of input that you guys may have, but the Waleses and Sussexes came together 2 days after the death of Queen Elizabeth to view the floral tributes left for the late monarch in Windsor. And they say that William actually invited Harry and Meghan to this. So it started off, we were all like, I think everybody watching was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Like, are they all going to be like, kumbaya, this is amazing, we're all together, la la la." And then we ended up, as the days went by, because it was kind of a long thing, we would see them sort of seated in the back, not showing up for things. And so what do you guys think? Like, I feel like Prince William and probably Kate were trying their best, but then there was rumors that that Harry and Meghan were trying to bring cameras in for Lilibet's introduction. Wait, I'm sorry, I have this part mixed up, but that there was that Meghan ended up leaving and going back early. So I don't know. I mean, I just know that this was a good moment. Like, I think many of us were like, yay. But again, remember, this was way before the Harry and Meghan special, obviously before his book, which we'll talk about in a second. So that is that. So let's move on to the next one, which is Queen Elizabeth appeared on the balcony of Buckingham Palace with members of her family on the final day of the Platinum Jubilee Central weekend in June. Okay, I think this was the last time she was on the balcony. I could be wrong, but what a beautiful picture. But obviously missing, and it's sad for me to see this, is you know, Harry and Meghan and their kids, this is a sight we're going to be getting used to, because I think it's going to become more the norm. And then, of course, fast forward to just recently, the Prince and Princess of Wales traveled to Boston to attend the second annual Earthshot Prize Awards on December 2nd in Boston. And I mean, Kate looks so beautiful. And this was a rented gown. She rented the gown because their whole thing was like, okay, let's, make sure that we maybe repurpose things. And so this was a rented gown, and like, she just looked unbelievably stunning in it. The set was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. And then, of course, Louis was like, he was so incredible. This picture, y'all, I mean, you all probably saw this, but this picture reminded me so much of the perfect example of the monarchy in 2022. You have the Queen with her poise and sort of, looking back, and, it's all about, let's, like, maintain the structure, maintain the poise and the elegance. And then there's the next generation or two generations coming out and being like, what the heck, right? Dramatic, just expressive. And I feel like this represents exactly that. But he is so cute, and it also, makes them more human. So I feel like we want to see more of him. And here he was, and I love Kate's expression right there. She's like, oh my gosh, look at him. He is so cute. I mean, 4-year-olds are going to be like that. And he's like, yay, all boy, right? So that was him. And then Meghan and Harry made their first public appearance at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, attending the service of Thanksgiving for the Queen's reign at St. Paul's Cathedral. Okay, so this was a great moment. However, it is said that the reason why we didn't see them all the time was because they were trying to get a photo op with Lilibet, because they celebrated Lilibet's birthday. Queen's Platinum Jubilee, attending the service of Thanksgiving and that didn't happen. So I don't know. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that I'm not sure we know yet. Okay. And then, this moment cracked me up. No, Tom is trying to grab the hand of, he did grab the hand of Kate. Kate quickly switched her bag after that and moved to the other side, because Tom Cruise was, I guess that's sort of inappropriate behavior toward the, Princess of Wales now. And then Prince George attended Wimbledon for the first time with his parents on July 10th. And Djokovic asked him, how did you like it? And he gave him 2 thumbs up, which is super cute. And then beautiful, cute little Charlotte attended an event called at the Birmingham Commonwealth Games in August with her parents. And then both George and Charlotte visited Wales with their mom and dad on June 4th. I feel, they're only like 10 and 7. I think that's their ages. I always think of them as being a little bit older, but it's really fun to sort of watch. I love Charlotte. Charlotte's constantly like correcting her brothers. It's like she reminds me of the Queen. Like she just is so amazing. And so this moment for me, when the Queen did the Paddington Bear event, was so beautiful. Like if you watch her, like her expressions are so sort of irresistible when you watch her. And this was done so well. I thought it was so great. So that was a highlight. And then when Prince Louis made his royal Christmas walk, which was just recently, he was super, super cute, grabbing the gifts, giving one to Charlotte in his little shorts, running up and down, like just, I mean, we need more kids like that during Christmas. Look at Kate in her olive green jacket and hat. Like, I love what she was wearing. And then Charles, formerly proclaimed King Charles III at the Ascension Council. I'm kind of jumping. I probably should have put the Christmas one later, but it is what it is. And William was making his first appearance as becoming Prince of Wales. This was also the scene, I think, when the king freaked out over the pen on his hands. Like he literally like had a tantrum. It was very interesting. But he definitely didn't seem like he really cared much about, what anybody thought, because the cameras were on him and he was just in his element. Okay, and then the kids started school at a new school in the Windsor area, Lambrook. They moved out there, I think, to Adelaide Cottage, if I can remember well. And so they're living out there, close to her parents. And then this was such a great moment. I don't know if you all, feel the same, but it was a beautiful moment. Queen Elizabeth's 8 grandchildren paid tribute to Her Majesty ahead of her funeral in September. And then we see Harry in his attire, and they just look so regal. The picture kind of cracks me up a little bit because Zara is one of my favorites, and she, like, they all kind of have the same expression, and she's catching the lens, and so I think that's kind of funny. And then this is similar, like to see them around this was just powerful, very powerful. And then her state funeral, and she was buried in next to her, her dad and her mother at the King George VI Memorial Chapel. And then we head into Netflix released Harry and Meghan's documentary series. I don't know. I mean, I put this in the highlights just because, not because of public opinion, but just because it is what it is, and it was something that happened. I don't know if the comments, I'm not seeing the comments in real time, so I'm not really getting those. Okay, and then Charles's first Christmas speech was really great and was well received. Many people thought that he was crying before he went on. His eyes looked a little, red. He was literally standing in the presence, or in the place where his parents are buried. And so for him to stand there, I can imagine if he was getting introspective at all. He's standing with his ancestors around him, especially his mom and dad, as king, making this first historic speech that he has. And so it was pretty amazing. And then this event, George and Charlotte join members of the royal family and their mother's second annual Christmas carol service at Westminster Abbey on December 5th. Now, I think what's interesting, 15th, I think what's interesting about this was that it kind of coincided with the release of Harry and Meghan's series. And so I think there are things that they're trying to show, the juxtaposition that we are moving on. We are living our lives as royals. We're going to be doing what we're doing, as the, what hits the fan. So now, what does 2023 have in store for the British royal family? Let me see if you guys have any questions. And welcome from Australia. One place I've always wanted to go. Always wanted to go. So this is what we should be expecting in 2023, Harry's memoir. So over the last few years, Harry has had a tumultuous relationship with his family. He moved to Los Angeles, and now in January, we probably have a few days to just breathe. He's set to release his bombshell memoir, Spare, and he's going to talk about his mother's death, his experience when he's 12, and then it says Spare takes readers immediately back to one of the most searing images of the 20th century, 2 young boys, 2 princes, walking behind their mother's coffin. The world watched in horror. And I mean, you guys probably agree that scene was very, very intense, very, very hard to watch. And now Harry is talking about it. He's talking about his experience as a boy being forced into this. And I feel like in some ways he is projecting his lifelong frustration with not being able to truly have had control of his life in the moment that he needed to be grieving and processing. And I use this example, with anybody, because I have 7 kids. I have 5 that are adopted, and a couple of them have gone through unbelievable things that I won't get into right now. But I will say what happens oftentimes when you're battling through this trauma, you're battling. And when you get to a safe space, that's when you're finally able to process it and talk about your feelings. And I feel like that's what we're seeing with him. So that is something we're going to be seeing. We're also going to be seeing the first coronation in 70 years. The king's coronation set to be in the beginning of May. I still don't know if I'm going to be going or not. But again, he wants to sort of strip back the monarchy. But what's interesting is that I've heard 2 things. I've heard that he wants to strip back the processional and then the event, but I also heard the opposite. I heard that he won't be stripping back the event. He might be stripping back the monarchy, but he wants all the pomp and circumstance. So I'm not quite sure. And then, okay, this has to be a rumor. It's not confirmed, and I don't think it's going to happen. She's 40 years old. They have 3 kids, but this is something that people are just projecting into the next year. They could say the same for Harry and Meghan, although I think Harry and Meghan have said, we are not having any more kids, but this is just, hey, question mark, are they going to have more kids? And then this could happen. There was a bill, another reading of this bill that would give the monarch the authority to strip people of their titles. This could happen for Andrew as well. And some, the people in Sussex and also in York are saying, hey, we need to be represented properly. So I don't know. We'll see. And then the slimmed down monarchy, we will see what that looks like. We're already seeing people being moved around, being left out. There was somebody said that Harry and Meghan aren't on the website as much anymore. So who knows? And then this should be I like this picture, by the way, of Camilla. This is a big deal. Like, she's going to be crowned. Obviously, she's queen consort, but they just are going to call her the queen because that's appropriate. She is going to be crowned with her husband. And that is very historic, especially from, a divorced now monarch with the woman he was having an affair with become the queen. Very interesting. But this is going to be happening. And then we're going to, okay, this is kind of a little woo-woo moment here. I just found this. I found this in, I can't remember I'm trying to find which paper it was. Hold on a second. I want to make sure you guys know. It's called the Mercury. They're talking about this. I just thought it was fun. This psychic named Nicholas Jula. I mean, I don't agree with this. I'm just saying it's interesting. That he's forecasting another tough year for the royal family with a loss of income, concerns for King Charles's health. I will say that I had at Christmas time a doctor here at my house for the holidays, and they don't follow any of this royal stuff. And I just showed them some of the picture of King Charles's hands, and they're like, oh, this doctor was like, this is not good at all. Like, I would really be concerned for his health. So he's got to keep his health in check. So he said the royal family's income and popularity will go down. So they may sell their properties or may turn something. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm just putting this out here because this is what is being projected. Will it be better or will it be worse? I think right now, even though it's negative press, with the Harry and Meghan thing and maybe his book, I think in general, because there's such a change in the monarchy, but it's probably going to be fine. But we will see what happens. And then he says, I also think that King Charles will be having health issues to do with heart or with circulation. Now, that is also something that this doctor said to me, just looking at his hands. Although Charles has said he's been checked and he's fine. So that is that. And I just wanted to, I'm going to take some other questions if you have any. And I want to thank all of you guys for being so supportive of me throughout the year. I started this Hot for History channel. I started it last January, but I didn't post anything really until like April. And I'm just blown away. We've had like about 120 million views. I'm up to like 192,000 subs, and that's mainly from doing shorts. So I just want to promise to you that this year I am going to be doing longer videos, not just lives. This is just an extra thing. Longer videos on history content. I sort of fell into the royal thing just because of the Queen passing away, and I had some royal content. So I'm excited to be able to come to you guys and give you more content and chat with you a little bit more about things. I'm not seeing comments coming up. I don't know why, guys. I'm not seeing them, but I'm really excited to come to you with that. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much for all of the support. Please continue to watch. I promise we will be getting better. I will be talking about all kinds of history, and we'll also be having some experts on with some of the other topics, ancient history, American history, history in Hollywood. I like to kind of run the gamut. And I just want to let you know that I really appreciate all of your support and all of your help. And I hope that you have a great night. I would be answering questions, but everything seems to have stalled here. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.